And good morning to randomizer fans across Twitch. Welcome to the second race of a World Series of Free Enterprise. My name is Podrak. I am the first of your commentators. I am here with Silverfire, and today we're on tracking. We have Aizen Tayama, and our restreamer is Demarine. In Silverfire is right with us. Why don't you go into a little bit about what Giant Percent is for us?
All right.
If she's
I'm here. So,
Yep.
Hello everyone. And, wow, we're starting right up. So,
Yeah.
Here we have Dusty Grift, who is the number one in points after placing first in last week's. Start off with the Magma Key. It's not quite the Darkness Crystal start that we've seen, but it opens quite a bit up right away. And with Fusoya in the starting party as well, it's kind of interesting to see how these runners are going to start.
Yeah, it gives people access to the underground very early, and there is a whole lot of items available down there, especially the shops. So, could be interesting to see where our routes diverge here, if they want to go straight down or not.
Interesting. Immediately going to Mysidia to pick up some characters. And meanwhile, we have Dusty Griff heading to Troya Armory. That's not a play I've normally seen as the very first thing to pick up money, but
there are 9 chests, and this is T4, so you are going to be picking up some very nice things in the chests.
And there's a protect ring and some other nice stuff.
Yeah, well, a couple of our other people have gone straight to Mysidia to pick up a couple of characters before going on their looting trips.
Mm-hmm. And Troya does have this bedward key item in these flags, so he's going to get the pan. That is a really nice pair to start off with the that magma key.
Yeah, getting instant access to the underground, being able to go straight to Yang in the bed, not the Yang that we got in the party, and just hit him over the head, get 2 instant key items from Sheila.
Mm-hmm.
Because really, with a Fu in the party, I think we're just really looking for the way up, and then just seeing what happens from there. Because, yeah, he does come fairly powerful, although the the F flag is on, so he's going to be a bit neutered to start off with.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. He's got Ice 2 is really the only key spell that I saw when Dragus just checked it. So it'll be interesting to see if anybody decides to go and knock off a few bosses to try and pump up that Fu spell list, or if we basically just see Fu just kind of be like, maybe do a couple things with those Ice 2s to kick off the other characters' power gaining.
Yeah, we could see them go into a couple of the early spots for bosses, which looks like where Dragus is going now, just to give him a couple more options.
Yep. Meanwhile, we've got 2 of our runners just heading straight underground, and Nirm just cleared out Troya and might be doing the same, I bet.
Yeah, Dusty Griff is heading to the Land of Summon Monsters. There is a free key item down there in the original Rat Tail chest, so probably looking just for his way to the moon right now.
Yeah, there's also a good number of open chests down here in Land of Summon Monsters.
Indeed, yeah. We are still needing quite a bit of equipment and to really get things going.
The special chest has the adamant.
not really what people will be looking for in that chest, since the adamant can get you up to Excalibur, but really, is that really wanted right now?
Yeah, and also you might just find an Excalibur in a regular chest.
Cursed ring and in the 4 chests down the bottom though is not a bad find, and especially going since the main thing about Giant Percent is I always find it very chaotic. It's really you don't know what you're getting into, and there's a good reason for that, isn't there?
Yeah, it's just a mad dash for just a single key item. And a pair of unknown bosses. One of them is in a very high stat spot, but there's not really a very, like with the Zeromus fight, you have a very, set amount of power that you need to be able to survive the boss fight and to, fight him. Whereas with the giant, like you generally can do it at a much lower level, but exactly how low you can go is you're in a bit of limbo.
Yeah, because you may get something as easy as, let's say, let's go with Water Hag in the first slot where Elements is, and then have King Queen Eblin in the CPU spot. That's almost as easy as you can get, but there are other ways where you're going to be pretty screwed, aren't there?
And not only that, you could also see bosses that you can throw coffins at. You can see like if you have any coffins anyway, or like maybe an hourglassable boss.
Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to be available here because J items aren't on.
There's no J items.
But they are still susceptible to spells that can appear on, especially Fu, Rosa, who they've got, Paul and Palom.
AoE Stone is actually something that Fu often picks up, and it's an AoE instant death that will also work on any of those vulnerable bosses.
Yeah. We must also probably mention that all glitches are on, so we may be seeing a few duplication glitches, definitely maybe a few life glitches in our grinding, and maybe an MP glitch here or there. Yeah, especially having in Edge available. Oh, Edge is a very big benefactor of the duplication glitch.
Oh, absolutely. With Dark Cecil in the inn, I don't think anyone's going to be really chomping at the bit for that one.
They probably will be wanting to do it for the key item, but for Dark Knight Cecil himself, it's probably not ideal, because no one really wants to go to ordeals here.
Absolutely.
2 edges, one on Hobbs and one was in Damsian. I think we're going to be throwing a whole lot of things today.
Yeah, it's remains to be seen if and when our runners pick up those. Chogosur is almost definitely going to pick up the character at Damsian here. But nobody's gone to Hobbs yet in this race, or in this set of the fraction of the race.
Dragus is right there, so...
Oh, there it is, yeah.
He's also keeping in Edward, maybe hoping he finds the spoon to duplicate that, because with the newest version you can do that, since Edward can equip it. And
that's one I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, and since the spoon is the best throwing item in the game, we could have a whole lot of damage output available for those 2 edges.
And the Edward, doing a little bit to help out too.
Yep, his attack stat does get fixed to 255, so he is pretty much as strong as you can and want. He is still Edward, but he can do a lot of work with that spoon.
Supremacy pointing out that he's surprised there's not a lot of boss kills to try and pick up warp with the warp glitch in play and Dwarf Castle available.
Yeah, Nerm's given us our first look in with the Sheila checks. The tower key for the just hitting. No, that was the second one actually. Must have been the second one. So tower key and apparently the twin harp. Lots of places you just don't want to see because they're both very long checks. Meanwhile, Dragus has thrown King Queen Evelyn off the table for the giant because he's found it in an antlion.
Yep.
So Nerm, Dusty Griff and Chokesaw are currently sort of treading the same ground, while Dragus is the only one that's really heading out and doing things differently. Getting the package, which also isn't really something you want to see. At least in these flags, that's... But the K flag is just K. There's no extra letters to it. What does that mean for what they're going to be finding?
So it means that only the basic key item spots are in, which are no additional summon side quests have key items, and nothing on the moon has a key item. So basically every key item location that they go to will guaranteed have a key item. And basically there are 17 available, and it's just the basic ones that are the starting item. You have the ones on the overworld are Edward in Bed, Antlion, Fabul, Ordeals, Baron Inn, Baron Castle, Cave of Magnus, Tower of Zot, and then in the underground you have the chest in Feymarch, the talking to Yang without the pan gives Sheila's first item, and then returning the pan to Sheila after bonking him in the head will give Sheila's second item. You have the two in the tower, the lower side of the Tower of Babel, one of them requiring the tower key. You have the one in the Dwarf Castle. You have one in Luca Cave, which is also accessible via warp glitch from Dwarf Castle. And did I mention the chest in Feymarch?
You did earlier, so I think you've counted that one.
That is, and then you have the one from Turning in the Rat Tail, and that is all of them.
Yeah. Most of them just will give you a sort of progression to finding darkness, about half of them, but there are many dead ends that people just won't want to see. The package, the sand ruby, the adamant, the legend sword, or many of those aren't just useful.
Yeah, it looks like at some point Chogosaur found some Murasames, and he duplicated a giant stack of them, put 2 of them on each copy of Edge, and that's pretty nice way to treat Edge to some ultimate weapons.
Yeah, they aren't the best weapons for throwing because they've only got a attack power of I think 55, so they're not great for that. But just giving him the additional power to start off with on his swings isn't a bad thing. There's always a chance of finding better throwing items down the line.
And we have Dragus finally hitting the underground section. Meanwhile, Dusty Grift is actually heading up to Ordeals.
Yeah, he found Teller on the mountain as well, in sort of a vanilla spot. And once he's done this, he'll have an easy source of weak, like for or any grinding he might want to do.
Yeah, the one, without J items available, there's no sirens, but you still have the D-Machine Searcher in Giant of Babel, which is going to be if grinding is necessary, it's going to be a very conveniently located and powerful place to do that grind.
Yeah. And with the F flag, the Fu could take a while to find that spell, couldn't he?
Yeah, he might. So we depending on what he learns. Another thing nice about Ordeals is it's pretty good at powering up Fu with 3 boss fights here.
Yeah. Kenyatsu on the back attack spot for Ordeals. People will be happy to see him there, although it's a pretty dangerous spot. At least he's not on the giant.
It's not really even that nasty, I would say. This isn't especially high HP, and it's just going to go down to the darting real quick.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Chogasaur is in Baron Inn, picking up that Dark Knight Cecil, or at least the key item from that area.
Mm-hmm.
Gnome is following Dusty Griff up Ordeals, and Dragus is heading into it for his Sheila items. So going to find a whole lot of fetch quest for that.
Yeah. Dragus just duping his edge weapons. And Chokasura taking out these D-Lunars.
Getting the Baron key for his troubles, so there's a whole lot of places they can go, but really, which one do you choose first?
As a viewer, I've got a root for the music. As a player, I think I would go to Lower Tower. It's got two locations there.
Yeah.
And with double edge, you've got the power level to dispatch it pretty well. Looks like he's going to Ordeals first. I'm not sure how I feel about this one. I feel like, I guess you do want to power up Fu, so yeah, okay, I get this.
Yeah, there are 3 bosses there. More spells for Fu, more hit points for Fu.
Yeah, and while there are 3 bosses and that's kind of some time spent, it does mean that, that Fu's going to get those spells. And these are also bosses that'll go down quickly, whereas the stuff in Tower of Babel might not.
Yeah, I did also, I believe I saw a Crystal Sword in Chogasaur's inventory, so he has got Cecil as well. So that's probably one of his thinking as well. Crystal Sword
absolutely,
is one of the most amazing.
I did not see him pick up that Crystal Sword. I had a bit of an internet hiccup that, so I lost a couple frames, and that must have been. Yeah, Crystal Sword Cecil is extremely powerful, especially when you're trying to skimp on levels, because Paladin Cecil gets those early levels real quick and is at a point where he's hitting like a truck with that Crystal Sword with very little actual EXP under his belt.
Yeah, it also brings up another possibility, which is the Excalibur. The Excalibur is the second best thrown item in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he would have the opportunity to dupe them. Unfortunately, you cannot throw crystal swords, so he can't throw those with edge. But if we see an Excalibur...
But even something like a defense sword or light swords, both of those are very good for throwing as well. So it doesn't have to be the Excalibur, but opens up a whole lot of more powerful options than just Murasame's.
Indeed.
Dusty Griff has just picked up his Paladin as well, and did keep him, so probably has that Crystal Sword in his inventory as well. Yeah. So they've all sort of done the same thing. They've all gone to ordeals. They're all likely to go and pick up Cecil now if they've all got this crystal sword. Where would you think they would go next?
I'm going to go back to that statement of lower tower.
Yep.
I hadn't realized they had a crystal sword available when I was recommending it earlier, but at this point, they have crystal sword wearing it. If Fu has warp already, you can do dwarf castle before doing lower tower. Otherwise, I would kind of want to wait until Fu learns warp.
They did pick up Teller, and they've done ordeals, so that does.
And those of them that
bring up
Teller can just take him and use warp with him. I don't think everyone kept Tella. For example, I'm seeing Dragus not with Tella.
Yeah, it looks like Chokosora didn't have Teller as well. So our top half does, our bottom half doesn't.
I do like keeping Tella for this because as a utility caster with the ordeals, then okay, Fu has already gotten warp. Thanks for spotting that. I haven't been able to keep up with what spells he's been learning.
Yeah. That sort of opens up everything for, in terms of key items. The Luca Cave, the sealed cave, was really the only blocking spot without that key, unless they had warp. So really, everything is open to them. They're just going to rush through these spots now.
Yeah, and given that this has been a bit linear in terms of how at least these four runners are routing it, Dusty Griff has an impressive lead.
Yeah, I definitely would say that.
He didn't do whatever wherever had the package. Was that the Baron Inn fight?
That was Antlion.
No, that was Antlion. Okay, so he skipped Antlion. Interesting thing to skip.
But he might have just been making a calculated play, saying it's a quick play to do later on.
That's true. And later on he'll have exit available, whereas at the time, like early on, you'd have to walk out.
Oh, that's a blue cloak. Is that our gauntlet in this spot?
This is a rough spot for the gauntlet.
Yeah, there's not a whole. It's not a whole lot of experience, but gauntlet just a whole lot of hit points. But gauntlet just takes a long time.
Yeah, and because this is a fast spot, you're going to have to be watching enemy attacks pretty much every fight.
Yeah, it's not really going to be a trouble with Dusty Griff is using flame on edge, so everything should die in that, and Fu should be able to mop up anything else. It probably is just thinking, this is going to take a while, but I am getting 2 key items at the end of it.
Yep, Nurm looks like it's basically just about 1 minute behind Dusty, doing roughly the same things. That 1 minute is mostly the amount of time it takes to do Antlion.
And Chekosor is branching off a little bit and heading into Baron.
Yeah.
And Dragus is heading up, doing your play, heading up to tower.
Okay, so we finally have a bit of branching out.
So we're going to see at least 5 new key items here. Mm-hmm. Any of them could be important.
I mean, at this point, we don't have many more than 5 key items to find.
That is true, but we still do have the we still have music, the Earth Crystal that could lead into.
Yeah, music and Earth Crystal are the only items that aren't in the process of being checked, I think.
Yeah, and there's still the rat tail on the table as well, which could lead that way, but
that still requires the hook. So
yeah,
it requires the hook and the rat tail. So it'd be interesting if the rat tail is finally the thing that has it, just because it's the only spot left that requires them to find 2 different things.
Yeah. We also still have Dragus, and with that Edward, no spoon found yet, but I feel they're still hoping. Although Nurm doesn't actually have an edge. So...
Yeah, I don't think Nurm ever went to... Nurm never went to Hobbs, and also never picked up the character in Damsian, which were the 2 copies of Edge. That said, I don't think he's too concerned with that Crystal Sword Cecil. His damage output is not really slacking.
Yeah.
But it is going to make the Fabul Gauntlet a little bit more clunky. Dusty Grift finally threw that Fabul Gauntlet.
And found the crystal. Just the...
Not normally something that you're sad about seeing, but in this case...
And the item in Luca, after a blank screen, was the Legend Sword. So he does have access to Excaliburs.
It's interesting to see if he'll actually turn in this Excalibur, or if he's not going to worry about that, 45 seconds or so that it'll take to do. On a short race, spending that time is a lot bigger of a deal than... Yeah, look, he's not even going down to Kokol. He's just heading up to Lower Babel.
Yeah.
He may just be playing... It looks like we have a freebie fight at the top.
Yeah, the Kaipo guards, just all you need to really do is either kill the 3 soldiers on the front or kill them all at the same time. The officer will run away and you're done. And there he goes. Meanwhile, Chogasora is heading down to pick up his item from the Baron Inn. Baron Castle, and it is the Rat Tail.
That's something that you're nervous seeing when you don't have the hook.
Yeah.
For sure. But we'll see if I accidentally called it earlier by mentioning that it might be Hook and Rat Tail into darkness.
And Chogasora is just heading straight to the Twin Harp. He's foregoing the underworld and playing out some of the lesser used spots, I would say.
Yeah, Dragus getting rewarded for that Edward keep and finding a spoon.
Ooh, that... And he does have edges as well, so...
Yeah, he has both edges. He has the Edgeward. So he will be able to dupe spoons. And that pretty much means that he's going to be slicing through the rest of this seed.
He's going those spoons at base level is roughly around 7,000 damage, I believe. And it's only going to get higher from there.
Yeah. Like that top of tower fight is already a few more levels on top of that, so... Because that's a pretty high XP boss fight. We're going to get some music from Chogasura.
And the Luca key from the tower key itself. So, tower is really a bust, except if you want that spoon.
All right, let's see what this song is.
I'm not familiar with this one.
Oh, I'm quite familiar with this one. This is Dragon Warrior.
Ah.
I was playing this last night, and I will be playing this in RPG Limit Break. Dragon Warrior Randomizer, to be specific. So yeah, this one's a little on brand for me.
That's great. I'm not too familiar with the Dragon Warrior series, unfortunately, but I know it's a very well popular series, and it's definitely deserving its place in our pool of songs. So while Nerm is at the top of the tower, Dusty Griff is on his way out. Dragus is covering in the Dwarf Castle, and Chocosaura is just about to give us a look at the key item here. The hook.
Well,
Ion.
This is a lot of locations that we haven't seen that we've checked now.
Yeah,
None of them have had that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of spaces.
He's the one with rat tails, so this has got to be either Darkness Crystal, Earth Crystal, or Luca Key. And Luca Key is the real Womp Womp. No, never mind. We've seen Luca Key already.
This has to be the Earth Crystal into the Darkness Crystal.
It does.
There's no other ways around it. So music is required to get the hook. To get Rat Tail is in Baron.
The question is if he gets the Earth Crystal here, is he going to go for it, or is he gonna do some of these double locations underground?
Yeah, he's
everybody else has the rabbit hole that is in that crater.
Yeah. So there's that Earth Crystal. We know where this Darkness Crystal is now. It's just a matter of...
There's going to be a lot of 17 out of 17s tonight. That's what I'll say. Which is really rare for a giant percent.
Yeah. And lots of people will be tempted by the underworld. It's natural because there's a whole lot of spots down there.
Yeah,
but really,
especially with Warp Glitch available.
Yeah, but everything is on the other world.
Yep.
Even the Baron Key was in its vanilla location. So,
so in this World Series of Free Enterprise, is Chocosaur going to double down? And it looks like he is.
Yeah, I do take it back a little bit because the Twin Harp was the first item from Sheila. So
yeah, but that was almost free, given that they had the pan right away.
Yeah, and Edward had the pan, and they had the Magma Key to start.
Yep. It's like they basically started the game with 5 key items dropped into their inventory.
It definitely puts Chocosaur in pole position for this. It's really
absolutely. I would be impressed at this point if he didn't just straight up place first, because those were some real slow spots in the underworlds that got checked.
Yeah, and he's avoided pretty much all of them.
Yeah, because normally Dwarf Castle's not too slow, but we had the Fable Gauntlet there, so. That's a real big time sink. It costs about 2 minutes more than any other boss fight in that location.
Yeah. And as Supremacy points out, we still don't know who's up the top there. We don't. Still be...
We know it's not Kinazo, so that's one of the scariest things that it can be. However, there's still Ogopogo. If it's Wyvern, we could have a real bad Witchburn start.
There's a lot of things that could still go wrong with this seed or hold him up to let everyone else catch up.
A lot of the physical attacker, the boring physical attackers have been used up, and a lot of the free, for example, the Kaipo guards we've seen, here's Octomam, so that one's normally a little bit easy.
Yeah. We've seen King Queen Eblin.
Yeah, we've seen King Queen Eblin. A lot of those easy things have been seen already. I think we haven't seen... Have we seen Water Hag? No.
No, we haven't.
Yeah.
Mega Sisters, we have seen.
We have seen Mega Sisters. That was that was the Mist Dragon spot.
Mist Dragon spot, yeah. There's still a lot out there. We've seen Valvalista. That's one of the more difficult ones out. And there's 2 foos in this seed. Okay, how free do you want it?
They have, especially with Nuke and Quake both available, which are kind of the 2 big spells you want out of Foo.
Yeah.
There's almost no, what I will say is there's almost no boss that will require level grinding.
Yeah, with Fu coming out natural level 50 to Edwards, and there's Wyvern, so he's off the table for Giant.
Darn.
And a Crystal Sword Cecil on Chocosaur's side. He hasn't got much to fear. To be honest, I don't know if there is anything he can fear up there with this team.
Ogopogo's still pretty scary. Golbez is pretty scary, but with 2 Foos, that helps a whole lot. He does have an Adamant armor as well, so he's going to be able to slog through a Golbez fight. It just won't be fast.
Golbez in those 2 spots, I think they both have very low or fairly low magic power, so having Golbez there isn't too bad.
It's not especially high magic power. It'll just be it's a slow fight just because it'll take so long. It's, he does a lot of spells, and you have to kind of pick up your party from the start of the fight, so you're not just coming blazing out of the gates with a ton of damage.
Yeah.
CPU does have a high amount of magic power, as Zyric points out, though. So, if Golbez is in that second spot, that can be scary.
Yeah. And as expected, the Darkness Crystal was at the Earth Crystal. So, off Chocosaur goes to the Giant.
Indeed. And that's true. Water Hag is still on the table, as well as the Baron Inn guards are also on the table as far as freebie fights go.
Yeah.
So there's a few freebies out. There's some scary bosses out of there, but not a whole lot of scary bosses at this point. It's a lot of middle of the pack bosses, I would say.
Yeah. I don't think Chocosaur is actually going to have too much issue with anything that goes up there, so we could be seeing an end very, very soon. Yeah.
Demi pointing out that vanilla elements would actually be an interesting execution test, because getting the counting the HP correctly to do the refill skips on that fight can massively accelerate it.
Yeah,
so
that's very true.
And, back to this being a short race, Chocosaur's got a big lead in these 4. I'm not sure how the other 2 races are going. If anybody else is on par with him in terms of just doubling down on on all these overworld spots and not going into the rabbit hole next to Agart. Baron Inn guards aren't totally free at CPU, but with Fusoya available, they have both Mute and Stop in their arsenal. It's not really that scary. It can be a problem, but in this particular situation, I don't think it is.
Yeah, one of my favourite things during the qualifiers was
was fatal as well.
Yeah, I charmed one of the guards and let it beat on its brother for a while, and just stopped the other one. So basically, it was just doing that. I had almost an entire fight before it hit itself. So that's a fun one to work with as well.
I am a little surprised at Chocosura still opening chests and fighting that last arm. I will say that.
Might be just hoping for a couple more nice things. It is T4, all items are available.
It is true. That said, he's already got an adamant armor under his belt. He's got the crystal sword going for him. I'm not really sure what you're looking for at this point. This is an evil wall. Ooh, that is going to be a fight.
That's a very fast spot. He's going to get hits in very very quickly, but I don't think he's going to hit too hard. So I don't think he's going to need to really level too much, if at all.
I don't know. I think I would have gone for it there, but he resets out and decides he wants to level.
Yeah,
with that adamant armor,
he's just changing it onto Edge, and Edge is just going to swing for the fences.
Moving the adamant armor. Got it. That makes sense. Moving the adamant armor based on
Yeah, having that edge in the back row, it's going to take a while because
No,
there's
he just used that boomerang.
65,000.
Yeah, he moved that boomerang to him, so it's a back row glitch, which basically once the bit for can do full damage from the back row is set, that bit never gets unset when you stop using a ranged weapon. So this edge will be doing full damage with these Murasames in the back row. He's probably just going to use that Fusoya and Rosa to berserk up.
Evil will likely get to the very end when he only uses Crush, and Edge is going to be free from that, and he's going to easily survive because he's only going to take 1 hit point damage. So this fight, although it sometimes looks scary, it is not for him. He's going to get through it just fine.
Yeah, it's just going to be a bit of a slog. Do we want to go recap over where all these items were?
We probably should.
Alright, so we started off with the Magma Key from the King and the Pan at Bedward. Heading over to... let's see. I don't have all of this written down, unfortunately, because I missed a few of them when they were...
Yeah.
Antlion was the package.
Yep.
I didn't get... What was it for Bool?
For Bull, I think was the pink tail, but I'm not completely certain.
Okay.
Sheila's first item was the Twin Heart, which was required in the end, and second item was the Tower Key. Ordeals had a good question. I didn't actually see that one.
I didn't see that one too either.
Yeah, but essentially the progression was
the required progression chain. You have the Baron Key in Baron Inn, which leads to the Rat Tail, and then you have the Pan led to the Twin Harp. Actually, talking to Yang without the Pan led to the first shield item, which was the Twin Harp, which led to the Hook. The Rat Tail and the Hook gets you the Earth Crystal. Tower of Zot gets you the Darkness Crystal.
And as we can see, Evil Wall is just a wall in the way. He's got everyone up. It's not hitting too hard, and I think he slowed it down, so it's not going too fast now.
Yeah, it's pretty close to the point where it's going to start spamming Crush, though.
Indeed, yeah. Or he could just defeat it before he actually gets there.
This second fight would have to be something that Adamant Armor doesn't neutralize. And there aren't a whole lot of bosses left that fit that bill.
The only one I can think of is Ogopogo.
Mm-hmm.
And even that isn't really a danger because of the physical defense that Adamant Armor gives.
Yeah, but at the same point, those big waves could wear you down if Ogopogo clears out the rest of your party, manages to clear out the rest of the party. I don't think it's going to happen because there's so much damage flying out of the double edge and the crystal sword.
Yeah, and he's got plenty of sustain with two Fus, both with Cure 4.
Yep.
So
they're at full power Fu now too.
Yeah, I don't see anything really stopping him from finishing up this seed in the next fight. So let's see what it is. Oh. Okay. Another long fight.
Well, we were talking about how some fights just are a big long slog.
Yeah, Golbez is one of the epitomes of it, having this startup script where he summons this dragon shadow, kills party members down to 2 if they're not immune, and then lets it disappear.
There's also a good point in chat that Golbez's virus does not care about adamant armor, although his other spells are rather well resisted by it. And this spot does have a lot of magic power.
Yeah. It doesn't have a whole lot of hit points, but if you're going to be hit by spells that do 3,000 damage, there's not much you can really do about it. Or 4,000, just like that.
Indeed.
Yeah, I think that one's going to take a couple of attempts.
I think I would have initiated this fight a little differently, trying to res the mop down there and try to get off a wall.
Yeah, it looks like it's been the adamant on his foo. Likely going to try and put a wall up on himself.
Yep.
Because everything that Golbez does...
full power, so he knows wall.
Yeah, and everything Golbez does is a targeted spell, so a wall is going to reflect it back at him. He just needs to get that wall up, which with the adamant armor shouldn't be a problem.
He just cycles through Virus, Lit 3, and Fire 2 are the 3 spells that Golbez spams.
Yeah. Lit 2 is usually the most powerful of it, but it is still an elemental spell, so you can defend against it. Virus is usually the real threat.
Yeah. That HP leak from Virus is no joke either.
Oh no. And it's always... Virus is always the first spell. There's no change from that. If he gets to keep Cecil, though, which it looks like he has in this case, Cecil with Crystal Sword can do a lot of work because Golbez is weak to light or Holy Element.
Yep. He gets the wall. So at this point, there's a very minuscule chance that he can possibly lose this fight. Gets some nice chunk damage before Cecil, before any spells come out.
Yeah, and he's just going to go with the nukes now with Fusoya. Protected by that wall. This should take, what, a couple more nukes at most?
Wow, that lit 3 damage, though.
Well, he did take the adamant armor off, and when you take an adamant armor off, you do become weak against every element.
And yes, I'm pointing out that in the vanilla game, we have the fire sword at the point in the game that you're fighting Golbez, and you're really trying to time a jump so that Kane is in the air while Golbez goes through his cutscene and lands. We do have Chokosura.
Yeah. And he has finished in an official time of 47 minutes and 13 seconds.
Indeed.
And he is our first place finisher in this race. Meanwhile, Dusty Griff is going through his fight against the evil wall, while Noam is on his way up to the giant, and Dragus is on his way to pick up his darkness crystal.
I'll take a quick look over at the RPG limit break and Free Enterprise to see who else is on the evil wall here. I see Penguinator is just finishing up Zot. Shamstrom is in Zot. Klopfer is in Zot. Baki Shinobi is picking up his big whale. Scratch Dragon is re-equipping Fusoya, re-equipping the adamant armor before going in to fight something. I think he's at one of the 2 boss fights, and we have Rivers and Swimmy both Rivers picking up Big Whale and Swimmy just got into Giant of Babil. And finally, Zilch has just finished Tower of Zot and is getting the Darkness Crystal.
Yeah, that definitely sounds to me like everyone except Chokesaurer pretty much went down that rabbit hole that you said.
Yeah, there's a big rabbit hole next to Agart.
Yeah. And Chokesaurer just avoided everything and got rewarded for it. Sometimes in these giant seeds, you just have to play the cards that you're not expecting.
Yeah.
As I said at the start, it's a very chaotic style of race. You don't know what you're going to be facing at the end. You don't know when you're going to get this Darkness Crystal. But just play the seed for what it is. It's really the best way round that I can think of. And there is our first place finisher, Chokesaurer. GG to you.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
So how does it feel to be the one person who did not 17 out of 17 this nonsense?
Feels really good.
Although there are actually a couple runners who didn't quite 17. You're the only person who did not really fall into the rabbit hole next to Agart.
Yes, and I'm glad too, because I was thinking to myself, I was thinking back to my first qualifier match, and I decided to clear the earth. Let's just try it. Let's try it.
It certainly worked out this time. I was wondering when you wearing that twin heart. What were you thinking at that point when you saw the hook? Was it it was the Baron Key. Baron Key led to hook. What were you thinking when you started that one? Were you just like, I'm just going to keep going this earth, or were you getting a little worried that you were just seeing chain into chain item?
By the time I got the rat tail item, I was getting pretty worried, because I knew I haven't done tower and I haven't done dwarf. That's pretty much 4 key item checks right there. So I decided to, stick with my plan. Let's full clear the earth and see what happens.
Okay.
If it pays off, then
You were probably thinking, I'll play the cards that people don't usually take first up. The Twin Harp, the Earth Crystal. Those aren't really typical plays.
right.
So it was just rewarding for you this time.
I was kind of hoping it was that twin heart, but
Yeah. How about the bosses at the end? Evil Wall and Golbez.
I know Golbez I had to reset because I had the adamant armor on the wrong person, and I figured I was going to wipe if his first spell hit edge, because I was trying to get a wall onto somebody so I can actually survive, but it didn't happen. So Evil Wall, I had that one adamant on. I wasn't really too worried about him. I was just going to stick it on edge, berserk him, and just have him chip away and have everyone else just do damage when they can until they die.
It was a fairly tame couple of bosses, even though they're fairly long-winded.
Yeah.
We have Dusty Griff just finishing up now in second place with a 51.37 and 17 key items.
So that is 12 points for you, Choco. You looking forward to continuing your run in the World Series of Free Enterprise going forward? Does this give you any more confidence for it?
I am indeed. I'm especially looking forward to Forge percentage and Catalyte, because I've been doing a lot of practice for Forge. I've been doing a lot of practice for Catalyte, and I just want to see where I end up in both of those.
Mm-hmm. What about Edward percent and Rejects percent? Or like you didn't mention those. How do you feel about those?
Well, Reject, I still need some work on, because one, I haven't really been practicing it, and two, it's not really my cup of tea. I would say it's my second weakest next to Appleseed, but I'll definitely try to get some Reject percentage practice in. I haven't been practicing Edward percentage either, but I pretty much know what I have to do with Edward percentage. So
Yeah,
There's only so many things you can do.
yeah.
Sorry, Edward.
Yeah, your focus now though is on the League Forge races, which are starting tomorrow, aren't they?
Yeah.
You'll get to the other ones when you get to them.
Exactly. At the end, I was saying to myself, please don't let it be Gomez, please. Please.
And there he was.
And there it was. I was like, oh, this is perfect.
Yeah. We have had a third place finisher, Swimilione, finishing in 53 and 53 minutes and 30 seconds. So, yeah, look, it's been a very packed race of, you could say, a free enterprise all-stars. None of the people in this race are an easy target, are they?
Oh no, everyone's really good at this game. I was kind of worried, but I just have to do what I can, place where I can. I know I was up against some tough competition.
Well, you made a bet and it paid off, so
It worked out.
it's gotta feel good.
Oh yeah, it does.
So, any last thoughts about this seat before we head and pass it over to Dusty, who's probably waiting in the wings?
No, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Well, GG to you, and good luck on the races next, starting tomorrow, and we'll see you probably there.
All right, thank you. You guys take care.
So, while we're waiting for Dusty, we have had a few other finishes. As you've seen on stream, we have had Nerm finishing in 5th place in 54.48, and before him, Bucker Shinobi in 4th place in 54.39.
That's a bit of a snipe there, only a 9-second. And then 6th place after Nerm, Penguinator at 55.04, Scratch Dragon in 7th at 55.31.
GG to everyone. And Dusty Griff, welcome. 2nd place.
Hey.
Your run at the top sort of continues, doesn't it?
It goes all right. Yeah. I'll take it.
All right. So, how did you feel about, like, when you finally found the Darkness Crystal and it was your 17th item? Like, what were you thinking at that point? At that point, I think nobody had finished yet.
Right. I was kind of thinking, I assumed most people had probably gone through a similar thing.
Yeah.
I assumed maybe 1 or 2 people had gone off the beaten path a little bit and didn't do 17 out of 17. But
it turns out exactly one person, and that person was Choco.
That person was Choco, exactly. Yeah. And that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Choco's really great.
The other thing I wanted, those final boss fights, not exactly trivial boss fights for the giant.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel about your handling of those?
At that point, the beauty part of 17 on Giant Seed is you're just going to basically have as much as you want. Because if you want to stop looting, like if you feel comfortable at a point, you can. Or if you want to continue looting through everywhere, I feel like you can kind of make that decision whatever. So like early on, I had like an adamant armor and a crystal sword, as well as an adamant armor waiting for me at Pinktail. So I was like, I felt pretty safe at that point.
Yep.
It could have been a whole lot worse though. Up the top of the tower, couldn't it?
Oh yeah, it could have, and could have ended up. We were talking about this earlier today. Of like, do you like quick darkness start seeds or ones that are buried as deep as they can be? And this is funny enough was about that. And this is what the kind of seed I enjoy a lot more, routing through and getting to the end and get to the end. It's usually a little trivial, but not always. You can get stuff thrown your way, but turn out all right.
All right.
And we have had a couple of other finishes while we've been talking. Rivers McCann in 8th place with 56.32, and our 9th place finisher Dragus, who we've just seen on stream, 57.31. So this stream aims people have finished. GD to everyone on there. The first, I believe that's the first stream to finish. I'm not too certain though. So, one last question, Dusty. As you were going around the seed, you saw pretty much a lot of the bosses. Was it a surprise, the going round? Did it give you an idea of what was at the top of the tower just doing those bosses?
A little bit. I saw some of the free bosses pop up. I saw a few of the lunar bosses. To be honest, it's probably something I should be keeping more track of on these seeds, especially when you go so deep. But yeah, I wasn't thinking too much about it at that point where I was so strong. I was kind of just like, yeah, whatever's coming up, I'll figure it out. And when you have that many tools at your leisure, like week if you need to grind or whatever else, it's usually pretty straightforward.
Indeed. So, any last thoughts before we probably? I'm not sure if we're going to have any other of the other races come in, but any other thoughts?
Yeah, just GG to all the racers. Thank you both for commentating, and GG everyone.
Yeah, and good luck in the races going forward.
Thank you, GG.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. There's some other things. What's next on? I believe there's something after us on the Randomania schedule. This was kind of a long giant percent race compared to a lot of them, so.
Yeah, generally you don't see them go over an hour too much. 47 minutes for first place finisher is usually out of the norm.
And there's a Chaos Rush starting up on Randomania 2 just after this. One of the first matches in the Chaos Rush tournament for Final Fantasy 1 Randomizer. That should be that's interesting and a lot like Giant Percent in that it's kind of a much faster but much less certain way of approaching that game.
So a whole lot of chaos going on.
Oh yeah.
Really, I think that is it, and I'd like to thank everyone for watching this side of the stream, and GG to everyone. If you do want to hear more about Final Fantasy E3 Enterprise, feel free to look us up on our Discord. Feel free to ask any questions, and there we are a bunch of friendly people. There are so much to know about this randomizer. This is just one of the ways you can play the randomizer. You can customize it how you like to your own liking. And I'd like to thank Demarine for restreaming today, Eisen Toyama for tracking, and to Silverfire for being my partner here.
Well, thank you.
So I wish everyone a wonderful day, and hopefully we'll see you again.